I am a licensed NLP trainer, internationally licensed by Dr. Richard Bandler and Society of NLP, and I'm also a researcher of the human mind. And the purpose of today's presentation and talk is discussing the secrets behind the secrets of designing a compelling future. All of us have been exposed to this amazing film called The Secret, where we were told that if we focus on what we want, we will somehow magically attract it into our lives and it will show up. As if it were sitting somewhere in the sky and we could just reach with our hands and pull it down and somehow materialize it. It seems compelling and exciting, and in some ways it's very true, but there is a particular secret behind this that has never been mentioned. And in my mind, the secret is not so much in attracting that you want, but knowing what it is that you want, focusing on what you want, and reaching for it from a position of having deciding it, that you already have it. And you may think, how does it work? It doesn't seem even logical. And I think, and I know, even from life experience and having seen countless of different clients from different walks of life, that this is in fact how it works. And how did this idea dawn upon me, and how did I realize that this is how it works? Once upon a time, many years ago, I have attended a concert in Frankfurt of the Ninth Symphony of Beethoven's, which is one of the greatest pieces of music, the very last symphony that he wrote. And he did it in 3 months, 3 years before he died, when he was completely deaf. He couldn't hear a sound and almost completely blind. How did it happen that he were able to do it in such a short period of time and create such magnificence? What happened? And how did it happen that 3 months later, he wrote another piece of music, which is just as enormous, just as vast, Missa Solemnis, which is the last piece he ever wrote, when he was completely deaf and almost blind. He was not able to hear his music, and yet it came out absolutely amazing. And then I realized that what really happened is that Beethoven did not create this piece of music. In fact, he created it on a piece of paper with pencil, but he did not really create it. He recreated it from a place where this music already existed inside his mind, where it was fully present inside of him, where in an altered state he was able to access this music, and somehow inspired by its magnitude, he recreated it on a piece of paper with a pencil. And when he looked down upon it, he realized that it was a mirror image of that which already existed inside him. And he was satisfied, saying, it's been done. So in fact, Beethoven, as well as all the geniuses of the past, such as Michelangelo, such as composers, painters, poets, writers, and also people in everyday life, such as you and me, we really are in essence deep inside of us. And when our mind goes there and focuses on that, we can alter our state, and from that place step into a position of faith, which is very different from belief, and able to recreate or manifest or bring out that which is fully present deep inside. That thought has very vast implications for life and also for my work, which is working with clients, teaching seminars, and understanding how the mind works. Because if we accept the fact that we are recreating something which exists deep inside of us, there is a very process by which we can then change it, at the same time recreate something different. But in order to do that, we have to go inside and find that thing that is what we want recreated. So for a moment now, I would like to ask you a question and consider that question rather, is what is it that you really want? If I ask you a question, what is it that you want to accomplish in your life? What is it that you want to accomplish in your career? What's really important to you? Why? What is it? you will go inside and start searching inside your mind through the filing cabinet of options and provide an answer. And then the question that I will ask you is, why is it that you want it? What is the reason for you wanting that, whatever you just said? And you will provide me a reason. And that reason may be the only reason you have, or it may be the reason that you think it is, which would require us to ask a deeper question in order to really distill what it is, not only what you want, but why do you want it? An example of that would be a person that I saw about 2 weeks ago, and I asked her, what is it that you want? She was significantly overweight and wanted to lose weight. She says, I want to lose 120 pounds. She was somewhere around 320 pound mark. I would consider it severely overweight. And I said, so you are telling me you want to lose 130 pounds. Why is that? Oh, I'm not so sure. So I said, let's turn it around and tell me, what does your ideal body look and feel like? Imagine yourself stepping into your ideal body, whatever that means to you. What is your ideal body? And she says, where my ideal body is, where I'm weighing 150 pounds, where I'm fit and strong and able to exercise and walk and function in a normal fashion. I said, okay, what is a normal fashion? She says, being able to interact with people and wear normal clothes and be able to go for a walk and make some decisions which require walking or perhaps travel. I said, very well. Imagine that you have all those things, that you are in your perfect body, whatever you describe to me looks and feels like. You are able to walk. You are able to interact with people. You are able to travel and wear what you consider to be a normal size clothes. What is it that you get in your life as a result of having achieved that particular goal that you just described? And she says, well, I am much more able to relate to my husband and my children, much more able to participate with them in activities and things. I said, very well, what activities would those be? And she says, well, like going for a walk, like traveling, like children being proud of their mom, that she looks good like other moms do. And suddenly she started telling me a lot of personal things. And I said, okay, so now you are able to participate with your children. You are able to go to school. You are to attend their events. Your children are proud of how you look. And you have this more intimate relationship with your husband, which you described to me you want. What is it that you get in your life more of that you don't have yet? And she says, well, I have more choice. I have freedom. I said, freedom. And if you have freedom, what is it that you can do with that freedom? What would you do if you had the freedom you're telling me you really want? And then she says, well, I would have freedom. She says, to walk away from the marriage that was extremely disruptive. And I would be able to have a freedom to live anywhere I want and see things that I haven't seen yet, and perhaps share them with my children, which my husband hasn't allowed me to do. I said, and if you had all those things, what would you have? She says, I would feel connected to myself, and I would feel the freedom to love again, to smile, to laugh, to be creatively expressed. I would feel like myself. I said, very well. So what is yourself? What do you mean? What is the best you that you know deep inside you are? And she started crying, saying, well, I'm a person who is loving, connected, intimate, who is creative, a little bit crazy, a person that has sense of humor and is able to laugh, someone who loves people, who loves to share, who is a connected, loving human. I want to be that person. I said, okay, step inside that person, whatever it means to you, with all the feelings and all the abilities to connect, to be creative, to be crazy, to laugh, to joke, to travel, to visit, to experience. And what is the barrier between you and that which you're telling me you already are? And she says, well, it is that 150 pounds. I said, great. Getting rid of 150 pounds, or perhaps stepping into a 150-pound frame, is only a technicality. It's a matter of strategy, decisions, taking certain steps, following through, and arriving at your destination. So tell me now, imagine yourself in your perfect body, which is 150 pounds, as you told me, and according to your height is probably a correct estimate. When is a reasonable time for you to actually having stepped into that body? How much time do you think is required for you to actually accomplish this? And she says, well, according to what my doctor says, it's probably a year. And I think I can do it faster. I said, okay. How fast is fast? When? And she says, 9 months from now. I said, great. So we're talking about September then. She says, yeah. I said, great. So let's establish a date for that moment when you are actually celebrating the best you, standing in front of a mirror and feeling all those feelings of freedom, connection, creativity, that ability to navigate through life as an artist in freedom and joy, having really allowed yourself to experience the person that you are. What day in September seems like a right date, because your other than conscious already knows what that is? And she says, September 15th. I said, great. So let's write it down. It is now September 15th, and I, Dorothy, have stepped into the best version of myself, into a body weighing 150 pounds, where I am fit, strong, and also connected and creative, and able to experience life and design realities and be the person that I know that I am, having expressed my full emotional, spiritual, intellectual potential, curious to get up in the morning and looking forward to the next day, because my life has become an adventure. It became a road of discovery. It became an amazing opportunity to really celebrate who I really am. And she wrote this down, and she started crying. And I got her to stand up and read this so that I could actually believe that whatever she is saying is true. And I felt it, because her whole face changed and she started crying, and she was profound by this realization and commitment which she has made to herself. The self that resided deep inside and has been kind of ignored for all those years. The reason that she wanted to achieve this body was her freedom, her creative expression, and that deep sense of knowing that she is capable of so much more in every aspect of her life than she has been allowing herself to experience up to this point, including a relationship that was no longer functional in her life. So I thought, okay, you have created this, and now that has become your platform for decision making. You are now driven by faith, by purpose. You have a really strong reason, the why that takes you, that is the engine of you to achieve this particular goal, because goal achievement in itself is only a technicality. The most tedious and long road consists of only a few small, or several small, manageable steps. Nothing is more difficult than one foot in front of the other. And sometimes people will say to me, I'm overwhelmed by this magnitude of what I have to do. And I say, that's cool. Just slow down for a moment and let's break it down to pieces that you can manage and understand. You agree absolutely that running a marathon, which is 42.3 kilometers, I've done it several times in my life, requires only one foot to be placed in front of the other several thousand times. Putting one foot in front of the other is much simpler to consider than the whole scope of few thousand steps over a distance of 42.3 kilometers. So people sometimes are overwhelmed by the magnitude of what they perceive to be in front of them, forgetting that indeed the most complex and difficult things can be broken into small pieces. And those pieces are easy if considered individually. So now that we've created this goal for her, and she created it for herself and experienced the magnitude of her commitment, And perhaps the very first time that she embraced herself as a human being, she brought out from the shadows that little person that was hiding in the corner that she avoided for all those years for various reasons, and created that goal. So now, what is the secret behind creating achievable goals and stepping into your vision? First, you have to distill and define what it is that you really want. It has to be specified in a way that is very precise. It has to be a natural statement. It has to be very concise. In her case, it was, I have stepped into a body that is 150 pounds, that is fit, strong, aerobically able, functional. Okay. It's concise because her goal is having achieved that particular weight with all the implications of having achieved it. In someone's case, it could be, I have $1,000 in my bank, which allows me to pay off my credit card debt. For someone else, it could be, I have created and I'm looking at the most amazing sculpture that was always residing in my imagination. And it looks absolutely amazing, and it's 2 meters tall. It's been carved out of stone and it looks extraordinary. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as it's concise. It also has to be realistic. Now, what does it mean realistic? That is an interesting idea, because some people will put such borders around what is possible that they will talk themselves out of achievement. So the idea of realism is really connected to the nature of your faith. How powerful is your belief, your faith, that you are actually able to achieve it, or that it's important to you? Because the realism of something is driven by your purpose, by the why, by the reason why you want it to be. If you have strong enough reason, you can achieve extraordinary things, amazing things, in fact. Things that you may look back and say, wow, I'm amazed that I were able to do it. In my case, many, many years ago, when I was quite a bit younger, I invested in real estate. And it's a long story, which I always repeat in my trainings. Things were falling through due to someone who wanted to create problem, and I had to find $1 million in one afternoon. Well, I never had $1 million. Didn't have friends then that who had it. My family were not rich. How do I get that $1 million? I went to the bank, the second, the third. Everyone says it takes a little bit of time and people are subject to qualifying, but I did not have any time whatsoever to wait any time. I needed it yesterday. And then I thought of an individual who was very old, who didn't know me very well, but who had it. And I decided I will go there, ask him for it, and I will have walked out of their house with a check for that amount, because the reasons for me to have it were so significant. I had to borrow money to put a deposit on the properties. I had people who bought them from me. There would be a lot of people extremely unhappy, and perhaps the deposit would have been lost. And I couldn't bear the idea of someone who trusted me losing it. So I had a very, very powerful and overwhelming why to get it. I did. I got it the same day, and everything was amazing. Not necessarily because I believed it would happen. I had absolute and total faith and confidence that it were a fact. There is a difference between believing that something is going to happen, because beliefs can be very weak. They can kind of range on a scale of 0 to 10, where 2 may be very weak, 9 is kind of strong, but not quite there. Faith is a statement of absolute truth. It's a 100% agreement that something that needs to happen has already been done. And then if you think of the idea that we are always recreating that which exists inside of us, it makes perfect sense. All you have to do is step inside and decide that this is what already is a fact. And it's only a matter of technicalities of achievement of it. The same as running a marathon requires one foot in front of the other. Several thousand times, but it's doable. So now, it also has to be ecological, which also means that, is it good for me? Is it good for you? Is it good for the world at large? And underneath that word ecological underlies, there is a word which is called intent. What is my intent? Is my intent fundamentally excellent? Is my intent good, powerful to support something? Is it good for me, good for you? Is it good for the world at large? Is it beneficial? If it is, then your purpose is driven by an extremely profound truth, which is your intent, which supports your purpose. So when you are setting goals and designing your future, you have to sometimes step aside and ask yourself, what is my motivation? What is my real reason for wanting this so much? Is it because I want to help somebody? Is it because I want to look good? Is it because I want to save face? What is my real motivation? The real motivation that supports achievement is one of positive intent, which is devoid of egotism, does not take advantage of anyone, and is fundamentally based upon a desire in some ways to contribute, to create something positive, something good. It also has to be, the goals to be achieved have to be stated in a present tense fashion. What does it mean? It really means that creating the memories of the future now is just as easy as accessing memories of the past. There is a mental operation of traveling along the timeline where we can easily go back and recreate in our minds the events of the past. But why not step into the future and recreate for us that which we've imagined and dreamed about? If you think about it, all amazing ideas, creations, extraordinary achievements had the very first time that they happen. Innovation starts with a single idea which someone follows through and materializes, and somehow it becomes an agreed upon fact. There was a time when the Ninth Symphony did not exist, and someone felt it, experienced it inside, and recreated it on a piece of paper. Why not create for yourself something that hasn't materialized yet, which you are more than capable of achieving if you decide that you have enough reason and purpose and intent, and simply state it in this present tense. If your goal, for example, is to, like my client, step into your body of 150 pounds, which is just an arbitrary goal. There are millions of goals and millions of people, and say it is now September 15th, 2015, and I have stepped already into my perfect body, which I realize is the best version of myself. What you've done, you've really traveled along the timeline. You've gone to the future and brought this moment into now. The dream of the future became your experience, your reality, the same way as if you bring memories of the past and relive your experiences, which some people do. If those memories are excellent, that's wonderful, but if they're not so good, it ruins lives, because that reality determines the experience we have today. Why not create and project memories of the future now and step into them, embrace them, and really feel deep inside that Ninth Symphony, whatever our goal is, as our own reality that we are now experiencing. Goals not only have to be stated in the present tense, but also delineated on time. It has to be time framed somehow. So if it is now September 15th, 2015, I have established exactly the time frame within which I will have achieved that goal and stepped into my reality that has already been created deep inside of me, where my Ninth Symphony will have been created, where I will have realized that I've achieved that which already exists deep inside of myself. That is amazing, because in that manner, in this fluid medium of time and space where we shape our realities with our thoughts, where we are artists designing our lives, where we are projecting dreams, creating futures, recreating things of the past, we have absolute freedom to design everything that we want, just because our mind and our blueprint for creation deep inside of us allows us to do it. It's a limitless potential that resides deep inside each and every one of us. each and every one of you. Each and every one has that ability. And finally, what we have to do is able to evaluate that we've actually accomplished it. To actually know that now is the time when I've done it. A moment to celebrate, to give myself a big hug and say, wow, I've done it. And that is amazing, because once you've evaluated something, you've accomplished something, you've created a full stop, and you're able to move into another goal, another dream, or perhaps this one has been just an intermediary step towards something extraordinary. I have a friend who told me something very interesting. He used to be a very successful real estate developer, worth a few $1 million at a young age. And he decided that this particular label that he applied to himself, I am a real estate developer, was no longer befitting who he really felt inside he was. In his own mind, he was not a real estate developer. He was a legacy developer, which opened the door to an entirely new spectrum of dreaming. He suddenly expanded into other projects. He became a bank. And the reason he wanted to do this is that in 15 years, he will be worth $15 billion, which will allow him to create a foundation that can save many children from death and create educational opportunities, kind of transform the world on a large scale. As a result of having changed that label and stepping into the I am that was greater and different from just a real estate developer, in a short period of time, he was able to amass a fortune of many, many millions simply because the reality of his life realigned with his identity of who he really was inside. It's only a matter of one step in front of the other to achieve his dream, because dreams are not small or big. They are only as meaningful and as significant as we allow them to be in our minds. A goal for a child to pass an exam where they were failing and achieve a great mark is not at all less significant or less important or less magnificent than a dream of having become a legacy developer where you have amassed a fortune of $15 billion. All those realities exist within the scope of possibility of all humans. We are all designers of our reality and our life, which is an artistry in motion. We are continually creating, continually recreating, but really we are creating and manifesting that which is a mirror image of whatever it is that exists deep inside of us. So when we consider it from this point of view, why not go inside and allow our minds to open up to possibilities, open up to what is deep inside that we have never allowed ourselves to explore? Why not open the doors to new ideas, become curious about them and become playful and just take a bite of life with juice? When we were 2 or 3 years old and fell down and scraped our knees, we may have cried for a couple of minutes, and within minutes we were able to run around and do it even better. There is no failure, there is only feedback, there is only learning curve. All the problems that we experience in life are a measure of success. We have successfully created that which we have today. Today is a perfect expression of the seed that we planted yesterday. It is a dream that we created. If we step aside and say to ourselves, well, I'm not happy with it, that's a whole different idea. It's an evaluation statement, but in essence, whatever you have created today is a success. It's a successful outcome of something that you've done really well sequentially and followed through. So if you want your tomorrow to be different than today, you have to make different decisions. Go inside and open your mind to different ideas, different possibilities. Allow yourself to be a dreamer, a visionary, which you already are. Set that goal and put it on the future line of your time and bring it into this moment so that you can experience what it's like. What is it like? And then take steps to achieve it, because achievement of it is a technicality, is a strategic lesson, perhaps requiring some planning and some measurable steps which you can accomplish. But if you put your mind to it, and most importantly, if you put your heart to it, and your soul is fully present and you identify with it, that you are that person who has created and achieved that amazing dream, and you have a why, the reason supporting it, you've done it. All that's left is for you to witness how the mirror image of that which already resides deep inside of you has already been created. So I invite you today to go inside and open your mind and open your heart of something that matters to you. Allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to explore. Allow yourself to be a composer of something greater than the symphony you've created up to this point. After all, the Ninth Symphony is the symphony of your own life. It is the crowning glory of your beliefs, of your faith. It is an expression of who you are and what you are. And sometimes we need to go inside and ask ourselves, who am I, in order to have been able to create that which is now waiting to be manifested or expressed. So I would like to thank you for being here and listening to this conversation that I'm having with you. And I'm inviting you to explore your own potential. And if you have interest in participating in our trainings when we explore those ideas in depth and create dreams and visions and explore what it is that we are made of, you can always go to our website and check us out, our trainings, programs, and different coaching, and take the next step in your life, having become a difference that makes a difference. So thank you very much and have an absolutely magical, amazing, and extraordinary day.